Hello Year 5 and welcome to Thursday's maths lesson, your last maths lesson of the week. And today we're looking at converting metres and kilometres to finish off our conversions of distances. So I want you to warm up your brains again this morning with a starter by recapping how to multiply and divide by 1,000. So can you remember the rules for how the digits move? Now we've not got a flip chart, a PowerPoint today, so we're just going to look at the pages on the PDF. So pause the video and see if you can have a go at looking at the Categno chart and thinking about how to multiply and divide by 1,000. Where do the digits go and what sentences can you write? Okay, so pause the video now. Okay, so hopefully you got on well with that and you followed the pattern that we've been looking at all week. So if I just use my highlighter, if we look at this calculation here, we can see that 1 multiplied by 1,000 is 1,000. So this time we're moving 3 of our columns, yeah, 3 of our columns, or three rows even, yeah, through the tens, through the hundreds, into the thousands. So 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. So if I do the inverse of that, 1,000 divided by 1,000 is 1. So this time we've got to move 3 places. If we want to multiply, we move 3 places to the left. And if we want to divide, we move 3 places to the right. Okay, so how did you get on with this? Did you have a go at multiplying and dividing the different digits here just to notice the pattern? Well, I multiplied a 1-digit number by 1,000 and a 2-digit and a 3-digit. And this is what I came up with. This is what I found, okay? So you must have something similar to this. So what do you notice with my numbers? Maybe I'll leave them there for a moment. Pause the video and have a think. Okay, so the first one is a single digit multiplied by 1,000. And you can see that we end up with a 4-digit number, don't we? Because we've moved our 1 into the thousands column. And then when we've got a 2-digit number, we've got a 5-digit when we multiply by 1,000. And when we've got a 3-digit, we get a 6-digit. So each time we're adding on 3 placeholders, aren't we? Okay, so hopefully you noticed something like that. Now, when you were dividing your 4-digit number and then your 3-digit number and then your 2-digit number, I wonder what you noticed this time. So here are the numbers that I divided. And I noticed that we were going into our decimals this time, because if I divide a 4-digit number by 1,000, I end up with a 1, don't I? So then if I have anything smaller than a 4-digit number and I divide it by 1,000, I'm going to end up with tenths or hundredths or maybe even thousandths. So I want us to explore that just a little bit more here, okay? So you might want to make a quick sketch of this chart, or you might want to use the one on the page. See if you can pause the video now and see if you can divide and then do the inverse to work out the missing boxes. Okay, super. How did you get on? So if we go through it together quickly, so if I want to do 300 divided by 1,000, I'd need to put my 300 in my place value chart. 300s, no 10s, no 1s. And to divide by 1,000, I need to move all of my digits 3 places to the right. So if I move my 3 first, 1, 2, 3, and then I'd have my zeros afterwards, wouldn't I? Okay, so I've moved all my digits 3 places to the right. But look, I'd need to make sure that I put my decimal point in, because hopefully you can see that this is the ones column, and I'd need to make sure that I show that there are no 1s. Now we've got lots of place value holders here that we don't actually need, because when we're looking at this number, how would we read this? Can you pause the video and think about how we would read this number? Well, you're right, it would be 3/10. Okay, so we don't need the extra zeros this time. Okay, let's now look at what happens if we divide 30 by 1,000. Hopefully you already noticed the pattern. So if I put my 30 in, let's move the digits 3 places, 1, 2, 3. So my 3 will end up here. So now I'm going to need to put in some other placeholders. I need to show that I've got no tenths and that I've got no 1s. So pause the video. How would you read this number? Okay, hopefully you can see the 3 in the hundredths column and you would read that as 3 hundredths. So again, we don't need this placeholder, okay? And finally, let's see what happens when we divide 3 by 1,000. So let's put 3 into our place value column, 3 1s. Let's divide it by 1,000, so move it 3 places to the right. And we're going to need to put some place value holders in to show no hundredths, no tenths, and no ones. So how would we read this number? Pause the video and think about it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that we've got 3 in our thousandths column. This might be a new one for some of you. So let's read the number. It's 3 thousandths. Okay, so hopefully you can notice that when we've got less than a 4-digit number and we divide it by 1,000, we're going to end up in our decimals column. That's going to be a skill that we need today. Okay, so you might want to pause the video now and practice doing some other 3 digits, 2 digits, maybe 1 digits divided by 1,000. Okay, if you're ready, please move on to the review. So please could you pause the video now and have a go at the review task. Okay, super. So what do you notice about the values on the map? Hopefully you notice that we are counting up in hundreds. So this looks like a map, a bird's eye view, a plan view of a place. And it looks to me like they're starting in a certain place and then they're going to different locations on that map. And we've got the measurements for how far those distances are, okay? Why is the school written twice on the list of places? So I hope you noticed the list here. What did you think about that? Well, I hope you noticed that on the map with the arrows, the red arrow, we're going sort of this way on our journey, and then this person must end up back at the school. So what they're trying to show here is that they start at the school, and then if they go to this first location here, that's 100 meters distance. And then if they carry on to here, it's 200 meters distance. Then 300 meters, join in with me guys, 400 meters, 500 meters, 600 meters, 700 meters, 800 meters, 900 meters, and then a kilometer. Okay, so 1,000 meters is a kilometer. And so they end up back at the school, don't they? So that's why the school is on the list twice. Why is one measurement in meters and the other one in kilometers? Well, hopefully that's because you now know that 1,000 meters is the same as 1 kilometer. Okay, super. So let's learn, because we're going to think about converting between our meters and our kilometers now. So Mr. Griffiths, Miss Rosenthal and Mrs. Bracknell all ran on the treadmill for 45 minutes. Must have been quite sweaty after that. Here are the distances that they ran. I want us to know who ran the furthest. I want you to just pause the video for a moment and I want you to think about what's different about these measurements. Okay, hopefully you've had to think about that. So they're really hard to compare at the moment because all of the distances have been recorded differently. We've got Mr. Griffiths recording his distance in kilometres and metres. I'm recording my distance just in kilometres. And Mrs. Bracknell's recording hers just in metres. So we can't compare these at the moment. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to make them the same unit. So that's what the rest of our lesson is going to explore. So I'm going to start with Miss Rosenthal, me, and I'm going to use what I know. And I know that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So I want to write the distance in meters first. So I'm going to take my distance, which is 4.9 kilometers, and I'm going to partition it into the 4 kilometers and the 0.9 kilometers, the 9/10 of a kilometer. Now, let's use what we know to think about 4 kilometers in meters. I know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, and I can see the relationship there. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. So I know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, so 4 kilometers must be 4,000 meters. Because if I do the same relationship, 4 times 1,000 is, oh, that should say 4,000, shouldn't it? Good. Okay. Now let's look at the 0.9 kilometers, because I want to know what that is going to be in meters. Now I'm going to need to think about what did I do to convert from my kilometers to meters here? We timesed by 1,000, didn't we? So I'm going to need to make sure that I times by 1,000 again here. So what would 0.1 times 1,000 be? Have a think. Okay, it would be 100, wouldn't it? So 0.1 kilometers is the same as 100 meters. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So if 0.1 kilometers is 100 meters, 0.9 kilometers is going to have to be 900 meters. And we can see our relationship there. So we can now see how many meters there are in total. So the 4 kilometers was 400 meters. and the 0.9 kilometres was 900 metres. So if we put those together, we can say Ms. Rosenthal or me ran 4.9 kilometres, which is 4,900 metres. So you might want to think about where my 4,000 came from, where my 900 came from. Okay, super. So we'll explore that a bit later, but think about the relationship. How did we convert from meters, from kilometres to metres? Is there a rule there that you could already write? Okay, can we write 4.9 kilometres, separating them out into the kilometres and the separate metres? You might want to pause the video and see if you can do that now. Well, okay, so let's go through it. We've already actually worked this out because we've already worked out what our kilometres would be in metres. So we know that 4.9 kilometres is 4 kilometres and 0.9 kilometres. So I've already got the first part of this really, haven't I? I can keep my 4 kilometres because I want to write it in kilometres and metres. So now I just have to think about my metres. And we know that 0.9 kilometres is, say it with me, 900 metres. So I can say that Ms. Rosenthal or myself ran 4.9 kilometres, which is the same as how many kilometres? It would be 4. And how many metres? 900. So hopefully you can see that we can write this as kilometres. We can convert it into metres, but we can also write it separately in kilometres and metres. Okay, let's carry on. Now let's look at Mrs. Bracknell's distance. Let's think about writing this one, separating it out into the kilometres and the metres, okay? You might want to pause the video and have a go at this now. So let's separate it out first, let's partition it. So I know that 4,009 metres is the same as 4,000 metres and 9 metres. So let's look at what kilometres we would have here, because we can already see how many metres we've got, can't we? We can see that there are 9 metres. Let's look at the kilometres. So I know that 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre, and I can see the relationship there, can't I? If I'm going from metres to kilometres, I need to divide by 1,000. Yep, 1,000 divided by 1,000 is 1. So if 1,000 metres is the same as 1 kilometre, what will 4,000 metres be? It will be 4 kilometres, because 4,000 divided by 1,000 is 4. So have we worked out now how many kilometres Mrs. Bracknell ran? Have we converted her metres to kilometres? Yes, we have. We can see 4 kilometres there, which will help us write the distance in kilometres. And we also want to write the distance in metres, which we already have here. So let's put them together. Mrs. Bracknell ran 4,009 metres, which is the same as 4 kilometres and 9 metres. Super. So now let's think about this, because this distance, Mr. Griffith's distance, is already actually in kilometres and metres. It's already been separated. So let's compare the distances now that we've got kilometre and metre measurements for all of them. Pause the video now and have a little look at what you've got and think about who ran the furthest and how you know. Okay, super. So hopefully you can notice that it was actually me who ran the furthest, because I ran 900 metres. We all ran 4 kilometres, didn't we? But 900 metres is greater than 90 metres or 9 metres. Well, I did write the question, didn't I? Okay, now let's just write the distances in metres to check, and this will help us get a rule for converting our kilometres to metres, okay? So let's look at Mr. Griffith's distance here. He ran 4 kilometres and 90 metres. So let's think about how we can write that in metres, just metres. So we're going to need to convert our kilometres, aren't we? So let's think 4 kilometres and 90 metres, I've partitioned it there. Let's work out what the kilometres would be in metres first. So I know that 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres, because I've times my kilometre by 1,000. So 4 kilometres is 4,000 metres, because I would need to do 4 times 1,000. Oh, I missed it. Now, we already knew that actually from earlier, didn't we? So we're going to keep thinking about what we know. So we've already got our 90 metres, haven't we? So we can see that we've got 90 metres there, and we've got 4,000 metres here, which is our kilometres. So if we put them together, we can talk about how many metres Mr. Griffiths ran in total. So Mr. Griffiths ran 4 kilometres and 90 metres, which is the same as, say it with me, 4,090 meters. Super. So how do we convert from kilometers to meters? Pause the video and see if you can think about whether we are going to multiply the kilometers by 1,000 or whether we're going to divide the kilometers by 1,000. Okay, super. So to convert the kilometers to meters, we're going to multiply the kilometers by 1,000. Super. So now we know all the distances in meters, let's compare them. You can pause the video now and have a think about this question. Okay, finally, let's find the rule to converting meters to kilometers. Okay, so we've got all the distances here. Which one are we going to need to convert? Well, hopefully you can see that we're going to need to convert Mrs. Bracknell's, definitely, because hers is in meters and we want to know the kilometers. So pause the video now and have a think if you can work out what her measurement would be in kilometers, because we've already worked out part of this actually earlier. We already know that 4,000 meters is 4 kilometers because we divided by 1,000. So see if you can now work out what her 9 meters would be in kilometers. Pause the video. Okay, so if we need to divide by 1,000, then hopefully you know that 1 meter is 1,000th. Okay, so we've got 0.01. So 9 meters would be 9,000ths of a kilometre because we need to divide our 9 by 1,000. So Mrs. Bracknell ran 4,009 meters, which is 4.009 kilometres, 4 kilometres and 9,000ths of a kilometre. So let's think then about the rule. We'll pause the video and think, are we going to multiply the meters by 1,000 or are we going to divide the meters by 1,000? Okay, hopefully you can see that we are going to divide the meters by 1,000 if we want to convert from meters to kilometers. So now I want you to have a go at applying those rules. So pause the video now and have a go at the different tasks. Okay, hopefully you made some notes on the page for this. Hopefully you wrote down some different conversions. Let me show you the conversions now so you can self-mark, okay? Hopefully you got on well with that. Now let's think about the distances from shortest to longest. Now they're all different at the moment, aren't they? So I need to convert them so that they're the same. Now I noticed that there are 2 measurements in kilometres, so I thought I would convert the others into kilometres as well. So if I just show you what I converted here, I knew that 1 kilometre and 90 metres was the same as 1.909 kilometres. And I knew that 1,009 meters was the same as 1 kilometer and 9,000ths of a kilometer, okay? So we want to convert them from shortest to longest. Which one is the shortest distance there? Well, I know that it's this one because this has only got 9 meters in it, okay? I'll just move the other one out of the way. Which one do you think would come next? I need to look for another one where I've got 1 kilometer, but more than 9 meters this time. So hopefully you can see that it would be this one because I can see that I've got 1 kilometre and 90 metres this time instead of just 9. Now it would be this one because I can see that I've now got 9/10ths of a kilometre, so that'd be 900 metres. And, oh, actually no, it would be this one, wouldn't it? There we go. And then finally this one because I've got 750 metres here and then 900 metres here. Okay, so if we look at our kilometres, we can see 1.009, 1.09, so that position of that 9 is moving up, so it's getting greater. Then we've got our 7 and 5 in our decimals, and then our 9 finally, okay? Now, you can pause the video and have a go at your independent practice tasks, and remember that the deeper thinking is at the end, and you've got your mark sheet, okay? Good luck with today's conversions, and I'll see you next week for some conversions of other units. Okay. Bye, everyone.